with donors and to tap into this resource. It's for the most part not exploited. So I think largely the demand should come from the South, but it should be an informed demand, and it should be a demand that is based on sound analysis and information rather than just a wish list and an idiosyncratic kind of list. But I think, reasonable people may disagree about certain things.
So the selecting process should be meticulous.
Exactly.
Back to Professor Kalu. Which nations are most active in supporting the developing nations in South-South cooperation and the academic field?
I'll look at it slightly differently. The question you're posing, and answer it this way. There are 4 key countries regionally that are active in one way or the other in fostering South-South cooperation. Definitely China is a key player in this regard. India, with its Food for Work program, has been a major player. Brazil, with its hunger alleviation project. The Republic of South Africa in Southern Africa has been quite helpful in helping with regional integration and doing the kinds of things that the ideas about South-South cooperation aimed to do, which is to reduce the constraints and problems that poorer countries have. South Korea is doing a good job in terms of replicating, in my perspective, the American Peace Corps kind of activity, sending young people to African countries and elsewhere. So these kinds of countries, South Korea, China, Brazil, India, South Africa. Nigeria, very long ago, was a participant, indeed, sent technical experts to the Caribbean islands to help them with both filling the bureaucratic positions and also sending them teachers and other technical experts. But it's no longer doing that. Itself is needing help.
It's quite enlightening. Well, as Professor Khan and Professor Kalu mentioned about international perspectives, how about Dr. Jang?
Yes.
What are the Korean government's aid policy and strategy in achieving the MDGs?
Before I start, I would like to mention what is the meaning of Millennium MDGs. MDGs refers to the Millennium Development Goal, which was formulated in 2000 in a General Assembly in a UN headquarters. And this is a new framework of development cooperation in 21st century. And all countries, including UN and other donor agencies, adopted Millennium Development Goal as their own objective. I think this is very cornerstone for the development cooperation as well. And the most important goal of Millennium Development Goal is to reduce the poverty by half until 2015. This is the target year of it. And in this sense, I think Korea is best positioned to share poverty reduction experience, because we already escaped from a vicious circle of absolute poverty from 1950 to 1960 and then achieve social and economic development. Therefore, we have very good positions to share that kind of thing. Therefore, I think our government also proclaimed to increase our foreign aid volumes. For example, as of today, this year, our ODA volume was almost $1 billion, correspond to 0.13% of GNI. But our government has planned to increase up to 0.25% by 2015. This is really a drastic increase of it. In other words, this is the symbolizing of the strong will of our government to achieve Millennium Development Goal.
I see. Not to change the subject, Korea has provided its development experiences and know-hows to other developing countries.
Yes.
What are some examples? And is it possible to apply them with different, for example, political, economic, social, and cultural settings from Korea?
Maybe this is a good question, but very difficult question to answer. But during my service in KOICA for 20 years, and then I traveled many countries to review our project site. And then my observation is that we have many good know-hows and experience to share with the developing countries. For example, I can say, as I mentioned, that to reduce poverty, this is a very important way, and also how to achieve economic development in a short period of time is just one case of it. And as Professor Khan and Professor Kalu mentioned, that education, this is, I think, driving forces for Korea's development. Therefore, we can share that kind of thing. And in case of health, family planning project is quite impressive. To such extent, we are right afraid of, drop of our labor forces in 20 years later. But anyhow, this is another things. And also, as mentioned yesterday in a symposium, that we have very good rural development, so-called new village movement, SEMAL movement, which is quite well-known and welcomed by developing countries of that. Also IT, pictures and governances, to name few, there are many, I think, areas which we can share in developing countries. For example, whatever political or social, economic, different setting, the main goal is social and economic development of themselves by self-reliance. In this case, I think Korean's scheme may be applied to them by a kind of education, for example, and also rural development.
From Dr. Jang's point of view, I get the sense of sharing, not just giving capital or just handing it down. So, to further Dr. Jang's point of view, Professor Kalu, each nation must have its environmental advantages for South-South cooperation. How can we match these advantages of the supporting nations and needs of the developing nations?
That's a challenging question because if we think in terms of environment, and we are thinking about in terms of geography, you find that South-South cooperation amongst Asian countries will be much deeper, more systematic,